I died when a steel sign advertising my favorite game fell from a roof and cut my life shorter than its loading screen. I woke while an instructor wrote my name on a funeral slate and told 300 students that I was too weak to survive the week. Axel, rank 417, spiritual power 4, physical strength 4, agility 5, class none. I knew the hall and the black tower outside. I had spent 6 years playing Ashen Crown. Now I wore the body of its most forgettable character. In the game, Axel died before the opening story began. Instructor Ren turned toward the crowd. He was broad, clean-shaven, and dressed in a silver coat that cost more than my room. He held my test crystal between 2 fingers as if it smelled bad. "The Academy cannot waste a scholarship on a student with 4 points of spiritual power," he said. "Axel will lose his room, meal allowance, and apprentice license at sunset." Laughter rolled through the hall. At the front stood Leon, the highest-ranked first-year student. His spiritual power was 28. A gold badge shone on his collar. He did not laugh. He only watched Ren place my crystal beneath his sleeve. My memory of this body was broken, but one piece was clear. Yesterday, my spiritual power had measured 11. "May I test again?" I asked. Ren smiled. "The crystal does not lie. People holding it can." Ren's smile remained, but his eyes changed. He needed the Academy's first place to stay in Leon's hands. Leon's noble family paid for equipment, medicine, and half of Ren's private debts. If a scholarship student rose too quickly, those payments could stop. Ren lifted a small iron key. "You want another chance? Clear the old cemetery storehouse before sunset. Bring back 3 sealed urns. Complete that servant's task, and I may let you touch another crystal." Someone at the back shouted, "Give him a broom as a weapon." Another student added, "The ghost might die from embarrassment." The laughter returned. A girl stepped out of the second row. Her name came to me before I saw her face. Arya. She had dark red hair and a narrow sword. In the game, she became one of the capital's strongest exorcists. Here, she was 17 and staring at Ren's sleeve. "The storehouse requires a team of 3, she said. "Not for cleaning," Ren replied. "Then record the assignment as cleaning." Ren's jaw tightened. He had wanted no official record. I looked at Arya. She was the only person in the hall who had noticed the hidden crystal. "Record it," I said, "and write the reward." Ren tossed the key at my chest. 20 silver coins if you return with all 3 urns. Nothing if you run." I caught it. 20 silver coins could buy 10 hot meals or pay half a month of rent in the poor quarter. Until sunset, it was also all the money I owned. I walked through the silent crowd. Students moved aside, not from respect, but because people avoided the smell of a coming corpse. Leon blocked the door. Up close, he looked tired rather than proud. Purple shadows sat beneath his eyes. I remembered another fact from the dead Axel's memories. Leon's younger sister needed moonroot medicine every 7 days. First place at the Academy paid for it. "Do not force this," Leon said quietly. "Leave the Academy. You can still live as a clerk." "Did you switch my crystal?" He paused for half a breath. That was an answer. "You need first place," I said. "I need my life. We both have reasons." I walked around him. Behind me, Ren announced the next test, as if he had not just sent a student into a grave. The old cemetery stood behind the Academy kitchens. Its leaning stones looked like rotten teeth. Arya caught up with me at the locked gate and held out a paper bag. Inside were 2 salt cakes, a candle, and a small bottle of holy oil. "This is not help," she said. "Help would violate his order. I am throwing away unwanted supplies near your feet." She dropped the bag into my hands. "Your aim is excellent," I said. "Your jokes are poor." My joke skill also measured 4. Her mouth moved, almost becoming a smile. She could not enter without losing her own apprenticeship, so she waited at the gate as an official witness. That mattered. In Ashen Crown, a victory nobody saw usually became someone else's victory. I descended 12 wet steps and unlocked the storehouse. The smell hit first. Damp stone, old incense, cold ash. Shelves filled the chamber, and hundreds of clay urns watched me with painted eyes. 3 had red seals. They sat on a table at the far wall. The door slammed behind me. A white shape unfolded from the ceiling. The cemetery ghost had no legs. Its arms were long enough to drag across the floor. Its mouth opened from chin to chest, like a refrigerator with anger issues. Cold pressure pinned me against a shelf. A voice spoke inside my head. It was calm and sexless. Unregistered death energy detected. Emergency awakening available after first personal exorcism. That was the system voice. It had not given me power, it had given me a condition. I still had to win. The ghost rushed me. I threw the first salt cake. It passed through the open mouth and burst against the spirit's inner shape. White fire spread across its ribs. The ghost screamed. Every urn on the shelves shook. I had 1 candle, 1 bottle of oil, and 4 points of strength. A heroic charge would last about 3 seconds. 2 of those seconds would be falling. I ran behind the table. The ghost followed. Its arms struck the wood and sent the 3 sealed urns rolling. I caught one against my chest, kicked another toward the wall, and let the third fall onto my folded coat. None broke. That was not courage. 20 silver coins were rolling across the floor. I poured holy oil across the table and lit it with the candle. Blue flame rose between us. The ghost stopped. Painted eyes on the surrounding urns opened at once. There was my first surprise. The creature was not one ghost. It was feeding on the remains of 49 dead people. The system voice spoke again. Target strength, 14. Target agility, 18. Target core stability, 6. My strength was 4. My agility was 5. The difference was not small. It was the difference between a knife and an angry horse. But its core stability was 6. I picked up the burning table leg and struck the nearest shelf. 3 urns fell into the blue fire. The ghost twisted, trying to protect all of them at once. Its chest became transparent. A gray knot pulsed inside. I threw the second salt cake. The knot cracked. The ghost crossed the room before I could move. Its fingers entered my shoulder. Ice spread through my blood. I lost feeling in my left arm. 7 steps separated me from the fire. I counted them while the ghost pulled me closer to its mouth. 1. I drove my heel into the floor. 2. I wrapped the chain from the door around its wrist. 3. The chain passed through the spirit, but the holy oil on my hand did not. Blue fire caught along its arm. 4. It released me. 5. I seized the burning table leg with my good hand. 6. The gray knot opened like an eye. 7. I stabbed it. The ghost burst without blood. Wind struck the shelves. 49 painted eyes closed. Then the chamber became still. White ash fell around me. Arya hammered on the door above. "Axel! Still alive!" I called. That produced a silence more surprised than the scream. The ash gathered on the floor. It rose in thin threads and formed a smooth white mask. There were no eyes, only 2 narrow cuts. When I touched it, the system voice returned. Personal exorcism confirmed. 3 class paths are available. Funeral Mask Knight, Form Thief, Master of Dead Faces. I knew the first 2 names. Funeral Mask Knights gained defense. Form Thieves copied 1 physical skill for a few seconds. Both were rare and respected. Master of Dead Faces had never appeared in the game. The voice described it in 9 words. Create 1 class mask from each personally defeated undead. 1 class per person was the oldest law of this world. Kings could not break it. Saints could not break it. Even the final boss had only 1 class. My cheat broke that single law. I choose Master of Dead Faces, I said. The mask became cold. First mask created. Cemetery Wraith. Safe use, 7 minutes. Possession threshold, 13 minutes. 1 mask may be worn at a time. Simple rules. 1 form, 7 safe minutes. 13 before disaster. I raised the mask to my face. The world turned white. My dead left arm moved. Cold strength flowed through my muscles. My skin became gray and thin. My fingers lengthened. The system voice stated the change without excitement. Strength increased from 4 to 12. Agility increased from 5 to 15. Spiritual power remains 11. My strength had tripled. My agility had tripled. Pain vanished from my shoulder because the new body had no blood to freeze. I crossed the entire chamber in 1 step and stopped against the far wall. Dust exploded around my feet. Then another voice whispered behind my thoughts. Hungry. It was not the system. The defeated ghost was still inside the mask. I removed it after 6 minutes. My knees hit the floor. Feeling returned to my shoulder with enough pain to make the stones look friendly. The white mask rested in my hand. A hairline crack crossed its cheek, then slowly closed. Power had a price. Good. Prices could be measured. I collected the 3 red-sealed urns, put out the fire, and opened the door. Arya stood outside with her sword drawn. 2 kitchen workers and the cemetery keeper had gathered behind her. They all stared at the ash covering me. "Where is the ghost?" the keeper asked. I showed him the mask. His lantern fell from his hand. The academy's main ranking board rang before we reached the courtyard. Letters burned across its black surface. Axel, awakened class, master of dead faces. Students leaving the test hall stopped to read. For 3 breaths, nobody spoke. Then they laughed harder than before. "A mask maker?" someone shouted. "Can he frighten dust?" Leon stared at the class name. Ren looked relieved. An unknown class with no registered attack skills could be dismissed as trash. The world had seen the worst choice. Only Arya had seen the hole my foot left in the cemetery wall. Ren came down the steps. 3 urns do not prove an exorcism. The cemetery keeper may have helped you. The old keeper's face reddened. I never entered. Then we will use the trial yard, Ren said. If Axel destroys 1 practice shade, I will pay the promised reward. The yard was surrounded by raised stone seats. More than 200 students followed us there. News traveled through the academy faster than disease and usually had better manners. Ren released a practice shade from a bronze cage. It had strength 8 and agility 9. A normal new apprentice needed a team to hold it still. I put on the white mask. Gasps replaced the laughter. Gray skin spread over my hands. My uniform hung from a body taller by half a head. Cold mist curled from my mouth. The shade lunged. I moved first. 1 step carried me behind it. 1 hand caught its neck. I drove it into the trial stone. The impact split the shade and cracked the stone beneath it. The ranking bell sounded. My practical combat score rose from 6 to 19. My rank moved from 417 to 301. No one laughed. Arya folded her arms. The cemetery keeper began telling everyone that I had faced a creature with arms as long as doors. By evening, those arms would probably be as long as streets. Ren's face looked like sour milk learning to speak. Leon entered the yard before the mask's 7th minute. "A strange form is still a weak class," he said loudly. His eyes stayed on the watching students. He could not allow fear to grow around a rival. Fear changed rankings, sponsors, and medicine money. He raised his practice sword. "Block 1 strike!" Ren did not stop him. Arya did. "This is not a registered duel." Leon swung anyway. His blade carried 28 points of spiritual force. It flashed gold and came toward my injured shoulder. I had 30 seconds of safe use left. I did not block. I stepped inside the arc, caught his wrist, and turned. Leon flew over my shoulder. He crossed 6 paces and landed in the water trough beside the trial yard. The trough broke. Water covered Ren's polished boots. Leon sat among floating practice reeds, holding half a wooden sword. He looked like an expensive cat dropped into a bath. 300 witnesses became perfectly silent. Then the cemetery keeper laughed. The kitchen workers joined him. Students followed. Even 2 senior instructors turned away to hide their faces. I removed the mask before the 7th minute ended. Weakness hit my legs, but Arya moved beside me and made it look as if she had simply chosen to stand there. Leon climbed from the wrecked trough. Anger burned in his face, but he did not attack again. "Tomorrow," he said, "a measured trial, no surprises. Bring a towel," I said. That gave the crowd a second wave of laughter. Ren paid me in front of them because Arya held up the written assignment. 20 silver coins dropped into my palm. The academy also restored my apprentice license for 3 days pending review. In 1 afternoon, my strength had risen from 4 to 12 while masked. My purse had risen from nothing to 20 silver. My rank had risen by 116 places. Power, money, status. All 3 had moved. That evening, Arya took me to a small kitchen across from the laundry house. The owner served lamb stew in a clay pot. Thick brown broth covered soft potatoes, carrots, onions, and pieces of meat that broke beneath the spoon. Fresh bread came from the oven with a crisp crust. Butter melted into it and carried the smell of garlic across the table. I paid 2 silver coins for both meals. Spending 1/10 of my wealth felt painful. The first spoonful made it acceptable. Arya dipped bread into the broth. "You should be shaking." "I am eating." "You almost died." "That improves appetite." She watched my injured shoulder. The form hid the wound, but it did not heal it. She had seen the real weakness behind the public victory. That made her dangerous in a useful way. "No," I said. "It gave me another body for 7 minutes." The wound waited for me. I expected fear or greed. Arya pushed the larger piece of bread toward me. Then do not use the 8th minute. That was the first kind thing anyone had said to me in this world. We finished the stew. Outside, students repeated the story of Leon and the water trough. In one version, I had thrown him with one finger. In another, the trough had apologized. I returned to my rented attic with 18 silver coins, 1 white mask, and a shoulder wrapped in clean cloth. The room held a narrow bed, a wash basin, and a stove that smoked like it had a personal grudge. I locked the door, placed the mask on the table, and counted my gains again. Then the mask turned toward the floor by itself. The ghost's hungry whisper vanished. A deeper sound rose from beneath the academy hill. Thump. The cup beside my bed trembled. Thump. Dust fell from the ceiling. The system voice spoke inside my head. 99 heartbeats detected beneath the academy. Source classification exceeds available ranks. The white mask smiled for the first time, and something under the hill whispered my new name. Master. The second morning began with 2 guards kicking my door. They carried Ren's order to report at once or lose my license. In the full courtyard, someone had placed a wooden trough beneath Leon's name. 300 students pretended not to watch him tear it down. Ren stood beside a mission post. A new sheet of red paper had been fixed to it. Axel's class review continues, he announced. Today he will clear the blood cellar beneath St. Oran's abandoned chapel. The crowd stopped whispering. Red paper meant a confirmed lethal threat. Students below rank D were forbidden to enter without a senior team. My license did not even have a permanent rank. Arya pushed through the front row. That mission requires 4 rank E exorcists. The report is old, Ren said. Only a blood ghoul remains. What is the reward? I asked. Ren's eyes narrowed. 3 gold coins. The courtyard reacted at once. 1 gold equaled 100 silver. 3 could pay for almost 5 months of food and rent. And salvage rights, I said. You are in no position to bargain. Then the risk report must be accurate. Put that in writing. Yesterday, Ren had called the cemetery safe. He could not defend another false report before the crowd. Fine, he said. 3 gold and legal salvage. Leon will retrieve the target core if you fail. Leon had been placed 1 step behind me, ready to collect the proof after my death. He looked unhappy but remained silent. Arya raised a crystal sphere. I will serve as a non-combat observer. This will record sight and sound. Observers may not interfere, he said. I know the rule. If Axel dies, you leave the core for Leon. Arya looked at me. Try not to make my work difficult. I will die in a convenient position. The kitchen workers from yesterday laughed first. Ren stamped the mission paper so hard that the wax split. St. Oran's Chapel stood at the city edge. Beneath its altar, 40 steps led to an iron door. Arya activated the observer sphere. She could not draw her sword unless I died, which seemed late for help. I opened the door. Warm air rolled out. It smelled of iron and spoiled fruit. Red moss covered the walls. Narrow channels in the floor carried dark liquid toward the central chamber. The system voice measured the death energy around us. Active undead within range, 17. Dominant signature concealed. Arya's crystal recorded the words I repeated aloud. Her expression became cold. The first blood ghoul dropped from a ceiling beam. I wore the white mask before it landed. My strength rose from 4 to 12. My agility rose from 5 to 15. The wound in my shoulder became silent. I caught the ghoul by its ankle and swung it into the wall. 2 more crawled from the channels. Each had strength 9. I broke one neck and kicked the other through a drainage grate while the observer crystal recorded everything. Then 14 more ghouls began scraping at the walls. They had been sealed inside the red moss. Heads pushed through it. Hands tore free. The corridor filled with bodies. 6 minutes of safe use remained. I pulled Arya through the iron door and kicked the locking bar into place. Ghouls struck the other side. Rust fell around us. Ren is poor at counting, I said. Ren is excellent at counting, Arya replied. The new chamber contained 6 hanging cages. 5 held bones. The last held a young woman in a torn black dress. Silver chains bound her wrists. Long dark hair covered her face. She lifted her head. Her eyes were red. The system voice spoke. Vampire detected, class unknown, current strength 3, maximum strength exceeds measurement. Arya moved between us, even though her contract kept her sword sheathed. The prisoner looked at the white mask on my face. That is a terrible fashion choice. The chains do not improve yours, I replied. She smiled, showing small fangs. Good, you can speak. The last ghouls only screamed. Her name was Mira. In the game, the Night Court princess appeared 2 years later with an army. Someone had captured her early. The story had changed. The door bent inward. Mira nodded toward a silver key hanging above the nearest empty cage. Free me, and I will not drink either of you. Arya frowned. That promise needs work. I have been fed rainwater for 12 days. My standards are low. I crossed the room, climbed the cage, and took the key. The door burst open. 17 ghouls crowded through like wet furniture, pushed down a narrow staircase. I had 4 safe minutes left. I unlocked Mira's first chain. She fell to one knee. Her maximum strength might exceed measurement, but starvation had reduced her to 3. She could not fight. The ghouls rushed us. With strength 12, I tore down an empty cage and swung it across the doorway. 6 ghouls fell. The rest climbed over them. Arya stood inside the observer circle with the crystal sphere in both hands. She could not attack, but she could move. Left, above, behind. I followed her calls, threw one ghoul into 2 others, and drove my fingers through the last chest. I had the body. She gave it direction. In 90 seconds, 11 ghouls stopped moving. The remaining 6 retreated. They did not run from me. Something tall entered the corridor behind them. He wore the remains of a priest's robe. His skin was smooth and pale. Blood moved under it in black lines. When he smiled, his mouth held 4 rows of teeth. Father Varric, Mira whispered. He drank every prisoner in the chapel. The system voice measured him. Feral vampire. Strength, 30. Agility, 26. Endurance, 20. Regeneration, active. He had more than twice my masked strength, and almost twice my speed. The ghost voice inside my mask became louder, hungry. 7 minutes had passed. My right hand reached toward Mira without my permission. I removed the mask. The transformation broke. Pain returned to my shoulder. My legs weakened. My strength fell from 12 to 4 while Father Varric watched. He laughed. It was a wet, happy sound. Ren promised me a young exorcist, he said. He did not say the meal could change shape. The observer crystal flashed. Ren's name had been spoken clearly. Arya looked at the sphere, then at me. That single sentence was worth more than the mission reward if we lived long enough to show it. Varric struck me into Mira's cage. The white mask slid beneath the bones. Arya caught his next blow on the observer barrier, and gold cracks covered it. He is using the blood channels, Mira said. Block them. 6 channels fed black blood into Varric's legs. I had no mask and 1 working arm, but the cages held silver chains. I pulled Mira's release chain through the nearest channel. Silver touched black blood. Steam exploded upward. Father Varric screamed. 1 black line beneath his skin vanished. Arya kicked another chain toward me without drawing her sword. I looped it through 2 channels. Varric crossed the distance and caught my throat. His fingers closed. My vision narrowed. Mira bit his wrist. Her strength of 3 did not hurt him. It surprised him. I drove the silver key into his eye. He threw me away. While the eye closed, I found the white mask. I put it on. Strength 12, agility 15. The safe time had not reset. Use resumed at 7 minutes, and injury increased the mask's influence. I accepted the price. His claws tore mist from my side. I wrapped both silver chains around his waist and ran. His agility was 26 against my 15, but I did not need to escape. He followed me across the 6 channels. The chains dropped into all of them. Silver touched every stream at once. Black fire covered Father Varric. His regeneration stopped. Arya pointed to the heaviest cage. I broke its rusted hook. Varric caught it, but Mira pulled the last chain around his ankle. He lost balance. The cage crushed him against the blood channels. I seized a broken silver bar, reached through the iron, and drove it into his heart. Ren will bury you, he whispered. He already tried. I twisted the bar. His body collapsed into red ash. The observer crystal filled the chamber with light. Arya and Mira had witnessed my final exorcism. Red ash moved across the floor and gathered around my feet. A second mask rose from it. This one was dark red, with small fangs carved beneath the mouth. The system voice described the reward. Feral vampire mask created. Strength increases from 4 to 18. Agility increases from 5 to 22. Endurance increases from 6 to 20. Regeneration closes one severe wound in 40 seconds. Safe use, 7 minutes. My second form was stronger than the first. It could heal the body beneath it. I removed the white mask. 10 seconds later, the red mask attached and heat replaced cold. My back straightened. My injured shoulder pulled itself into place. The claw wound in my side closed. I counted 40 seconds while flesh repaired beneath the borrowed shape. At 40, I took a full breath without pain. Arya stared at the clean skin visible through my torn shirt. You healed. One severe wound in 40 seconds. Mira studied the mask. That was Varric's face. It was his class. Those are not the same thing. A new hunger filled my mouth. Arya's heartbeat became loud. Mira's became louder. The mask had copied the need that powered its regeneration. Drink. Father Varric's voice rolled through my thoughts. I stepped away from both women. Do not come closer, I said. Arya did not draw her sword. She held my eyes. How long? 6 minutes remaining. Then count. We counted together. At 3 minutes, my fingers shook. At 6, Varric tried to turn my head toward Arya. I removed the mask. The hunger vanished. The healing remained. Mira watched me fall to one knee. You had a hungry vampire in your skull and chose not to bite the nearest neck. The nearest neck belonged to an observer. There would be paperwork. Arya exhaled through her nose. Mira laughed until the empty cages echoed. Behind Varric's altar, we found 6 gold coins and a black ledger. Salvage law gave me half the coins. 3 gold from the purse, 3 gold mission pay, a ruby worth at least 10 more. We broke Mira's silver cuffs. Beneath one was the royal seal of the Night Court. Princess Mira, she said. Currently Princess of a Cage, Mira replied. I prefer the shorter title. She handed me a bloodstone from her hair. This sells for 12 gold. It pays for the chains and for not wearing my face. I did not defeat you. Keep thinking that way. When we reached the academy, the ranking courtyard held more people than before. Students filled the steps. Teachers stood beneath the mission board. Leon waited beside Ren with a silver core box in his hands. They had expected to collect a corpse. I entered first. Arya carried the glowing observer crystal. Mira walked behind us with the royal seal uncovered. Senior instructors bowed first, then guards, then every student who understood that insulting a vampire princess could shorten a family tree. Ren went pale. The target core? He asked. I placed Father Varric's black heartstone into Leon's silver box. The box cracked. It had been made for a blood ghoul core worth 5 silver. Varric's core carried 20 times the pressure. Leon dropped the broken box. Black light rolled across the courtyard. The mission board changed. Threat report corrected. Feral vampire and 17 blood ghouls. Recommended team, 6 rank D exorcists. Students read the new words in silence. Ren had sent 1 unranked apprentice. Leon looked at him. You said it was 1 ghoul. The seller changed, Ren replied. Arya raised the observer crystal. Father Varric's voice filled the courtyard. Ren promised me a young exorcist. The sentence repeated because Arya had marked it during the fight. Hundreds of faces turned toward Ren. He recovered quickly. The dead creature could have lied. It could, I said. So could an instructor. The cemetery keeper shouted from the back. Crystals do not lie. That had been Ren's own sentence from yesterday. The courtyard erupted. Students laughed. Kitchen workers banged spoons against their pots. Ren stood beneath the board while his own words returned to bite him. Leon's humiliation was quieter. He still held the empty core box. Everyone had seen him waiting to take credit for a mission he had not entered. Mira looked at him. Were you the brave man sent to search our bodies? Leon's ears turned red. I was assigned to retrieve the core. The core retrieved your box. The laughter doubled. Leon closed his eyes for 1 second. When he opened them, he stepped away from Ren. That distance mattered more than an insult. The Academy treasurer paid my 3 gold mission reward in public. Salvage law added 3 more. A licensed broker examined Mira's ruby at a table beside the ranking board and paid 12 gold. My wealth rose from 18 silver to 18 gold and 18 silver. The trial judges measured the energy left in Father Varrick's core and confirmed my final strike. My official license rose from provisional to rank E. My academy rank moved from 301 to 174. In the red mask, my endurance had risen from 6 to 20. My strength had risen from 4 to 18. My agility had risen from 5 to 22. Power, money, status. All three climbed again. Ren could not touch me while Princess Mira stood in the courtyard. He bowed to her so low that his silver coat brushed the mud. Mira smiled down at him. I remember voices very well, instructor. Ren's hand trembled. He still controlled missions, but now the whole academy watched him. That evening, Arya, Mira, and I ate at the same small kitchen. The owner served roast chicken with crisp, golden skin. Hot juice ran into a bed of rice cooked with mushrooms and green herbs. A bowl of onion soup steamed beside it. The onions were sweet, the cheese on top had browned at the edges, and the bread beneath it had absorbed the broth. Mira ate 3 plates and denied being hungry. Arya paid for the 4th before the owner could ask. "You have 18 gold," she told me. "Why are you staring at the bill?" That is how money remains money. I rented the room beside my attic for Mira for 8 silver a week. Arya bought dark curtains to protect her from sunrise. Mira stood in the warm little room, touched the clean blanket, and became quiet. 12 days in a cage, she said. I planned to kill every human I saw when I escaped. Arya placed a bowl of soup on the table. Eat first, decide after. Mira tasted it. Most humans may live until morning, she decided. Later, I returned to my attic and set both masks on the table, white for speed, red for strength and recovery. One could not be worn with the other. Changing forms left me helpless for 10 seconds. 7 minutes remained the safe limit. Simple numbers kept dangerous power honest. I opened Varrick's black ledger. Most pages listed prisoners, blood amounts, and payments. One page carried no names, only a mark shaped like Ren's instructor seal and a delivery price of 6 gold. The red mask moved. Father Varrick's voice spoke from its carved mouth. "He paid 6 gold for you, Axel." Black blood spread across the page by itself. It formed 5 words. "Ren serves the man below." Then something under the academy answered with its 100th heartbeat. On the 3rd morning, my name had become an argument. Half the academy called me a fraud. The other half stood around the ranking board waiting for me to do something impossible before breakfast. I ate first. Arya brought hot rolls filled with egg, pepper, and soft white cheese. Mira stayed behind the dark curtains and drank tomato juice from a wine glass because she enjoyed frightening the landlady. "Today is the mausoleum trial," Arya said. "The top 100 scorers earned permission to challenge a higher-ranked student." I was ranked 174. Leon was ranked 1. Mira raised her red glass. "Throw him into another container." "The trial yard has no larger trough," I said. "A serious institutional failure." At the city mausoleum, 600 spectators surrounded a circular plaza. Families watched from stone balconies. Merchants sold sweet nuts and paper charms. A projection mirror as tall as a house would show every team inside the trial crypt. Public victories created rank. Public failures created better entertainment. Instructor Ren waited beside Dean Vale. The dean was a thin man with silver hair and a black ring on each finger. He looked at me only once, but the white mask beneath my coat became cold. The heartbeat under the academy had reached 100. Dean Vale wore the same symbol that appeared beside the last entry in Varrick's ledger. Ren served the man below. For now, I needed evidence, strength, and a place in the top 100. Ren announced the trial lanes. Leon received the Eastern Hall, where 12 weak bone servants guarded 3 scoring seals. I received the Northern Crypt, which had been closed for 9 years. The crowd reacted before I did. A woman in a blue military coat forced her way to the judges. She was tall, blonde, and carried an old family sword. "The Northern Crypt belongs to House Rook," she said. "No student enters it." Her name was Sarah Rook. She was the last heir of a disgraced line of funeral knights. In the game, she spent half the story trying to prove that her grandfather had not betrayed the city. Ren spread his hands. "The lane was chosen by lot." Arya held up yesterday's observer crystal. "Should we ask the crystal how the lots were chosen?" Laughter moved through the plaza. Ren's face tightened. Another piece of his public authority broke. Sarah turned to me. If you damage my family tomb, I will collect the repair cost from your bones. Come as my witness, I said. I am not an academy observer. You are the legal owner. Even Ren cannot order you out. The crowd liked that. They began chanting for Sarah until Dean Vale gave a small nod. Ren had to accept. Arya entered as my registered observer. Sarah entered as owner. Neither could fight unless the crypt seal failed. Leon passed me at the gate. Reach the central chamber, he said. Then challenge me. We finish this in public. How is your sister? He stopped. Do not speak about her. Moonroot costs 4 gold each week. First place pays 5. His eyes told me I was correct. Then you understand why I cannot lose, he said. I understand why you cheated. That is not the same thing. The trial bell rang. The northern gate opened. Cold green light filled a corridor lined with kneeling stone knights. Each held a sword across both palms. The projection mirror outside showed our path through Arya's crystal. Every word and movement had witnesses. The first scoring seal rested beneath a glass cover. I lifted it. All 12 stone knights stood. The system voice measured them. 12 grave guards. Strength 16. Defense 20. Shared class structure detected. Ren had given Leon enemies with strength 5. I wore the white mask. My agility rose from 5 to 15. I ran before the guards completed their first swing. Stone blades crossed behind me. I stepped on a shield, jumped over 3 helmets, and reached the second seal. Removing it doubled the green light. The grave guards accelerated. One blade caught my back and threw me through a stone bench. The wraith form had speed but little defense. A second hit would break the body beneath it. Arya called the pattern. 3 high, 2 low, gap on the right. I followed her voice. Sarah watched the guards, then looked at the floor. They are not defending the seals, she said. They are driving you toward the center. The 12 knights formed 2 lines and advanced. Behind me, the entrance gate closed. The projection light above Arya's crystal turned red. Outside, 600 people saw the seal failure warning. Ren's safe trial had become a locked tomb. I reached the center door as the white mask passed 6 minutes. A carved sentence covered the stone. Only the blood of Rook may wake the last guard. Sarah placed one hand on the carving. My grandfather Rook died here. The door opened under her fingers. A sword came through it. The blade struck my chest and carried me back across the hall. Gray mist tore from the wraith body. The white mask cracked from brow to jaw. The last guard stepped into view. He wore black armor covered in funeral cloth. A closed steel helmet hid his face. His sword was taller than Arya. The system voice spoke with unusual delay. Undead funeral knight. Name Rook. Strength 32. Defense 36. Sword mastery 48. Core bound by external command. Sarah went white. Grandfather. The projection mirror carried that word to the entire plaza. House Rook had been disgraced because its leader vanished during the cemetery revolt. Ren had just shown the city where he had been for 9 years. Rook raised his sword towards Sarah. Traitor blood, a dead voice said inside the helmet. Sarah did not move. He never called me that. Someone had changed his command. I removed the damaged white mask. My chest burned, but no ribs had broken. I waited 10 seconds while Rook advanced. 10 seconds had never felt so expensive. I wore the red mask. Strength rose to 18. Agility rose to 22. Endurance rose to 20. Rook's sword fell. I caught the flat between both hands. Stone cracked under my feet. The blade stopped 1 finger above the red mask. 600 spectators shouted at once. I turned the sword aside and struck Rook's chest. My fist dented the funeral cloth. The armor beneath it did not move. Defense 36. He hit me with the pommel. My jaw broke. The red mask began repairing it. 40 seconds. I could survive 1 wound at a time. Rook could create 3 in 1 swing. The cloth, Arya called. It carries the command. Black thread ran from the funeral cloth into the floor. Dean Vale's ring symbol had been stitched beneath Rook's collar. I could not cut it with my hands. Sarah drew her family sword halfway, then stopped. If she attacked, the trial would end, and Ren could claim outside interference. Her grandfather would remain enslaved. She pushed the sword across the floor instead. Salvage, she said. The owner grants temporary use. I caught it. I had no sword class. My first swing was ugly. Rook knocked the weapon away and opened my chest from shoulder to waist. The red mask held my body together. Hunger flooded my mouth. Varric's voice laughed. "Drink the girl. Heal faster." I ignored it. Rook prepared the finishing cut. I switched masks. The 10-second gap began. Arya stepped in front of me, still inside her observer circle. Rook's blade struck the gold barrier. Cracks spread across it. 5 seconds. Sarah caught her grandfather's sword with the sheath of her own. Her hands split and bled. 8 seconds. The barrier shattered. 10. The white mask attached. Agility. 15. I slipped beneath Rook's arm, took Sarah's sword from the floor and cut the black funeral cloth. The blade barely touched it. All the threads snapped. Rook froze. The 12 stone guards collapsed behind him. Green light vanished. On the projection mirror, Dean Vale's ring symbol burned bright across the severed cloth. The dead knight looked at Sarah. "Little Star," he said. It was the name only her grandfather had used. Sarah's sword fell from my hand. Rook turned his blade and drove it through his own core. "My last class," he told me. "Carry it below." His armor emptied. Black ash rose from inside it and formed a steel-gray mask. A narrow crown had been carved above its eyes. The system voice confirmed my personal exorcism because I had broken the command that held him and carried out his final choice. Funeral Night Mask created. Strength increases from 4 to 24. Defense increases from 3 to 26. Sword Mastery increases from 0 to 24. Safe use, 7 minutes. 0 to 24. The mask did not copy only a body. It stored a class and the trained movement that came with it. I wore it. Armor formed over my clothes. Sarah's fallen sword jumped into my hand. My feet changed position without thought. The blade became an extension of my arm. 3 sealed scoring doors remained between us and the exit. I cut all 3 with one swing. The projection mirror outside split the image into a line of white light. For a moment, the crowd thought I had broken the mirror itself. Then, the 3 scoring seals landed at my feet. My practical score rose from 19 to 57. My academy rank moved from 174 to 86. I had entered the top 100. The plaza gates opened to a wall of sound. Sarah walked out carrying her grandfather's empty helmet. The spectators saw the tears on her face and the black command cloth in Arya's hand. Nobody could call House Rook traitors now. Ren attempted to end the trial. Leon stepped onto the duel circle first. "Axel earned a challenge," he said. "I accept it." He needed control of the story. If he defeated me cleanly, sponsors would remember the duel rather than the rigged crypt. His sister would keep her medicine. The judges checked our weapons. Leon used his academy sword. I used a wooden practice blade. "Take a steel one," Sarah said. "Wood is enough." The projection mirror showed my answer to the entire plaza. Leon's spiritual power rose around him in gold flame. 28 points. He was not weak. He had trained every day for years and carried a real reason to win. I put on the night mask. My sword mastery rose from 0 to 24. My strength became 24. My defense became 26. Leon attacked with 6 cuts in 2 seconds. The borrowed class recognized all 6. My wooden sword moved. Tap. His first attack turned aside. Tap. The second struck the ground. Tap. Tap, tap. 3 gold buttons flew from his coat. The 6th cut stopped because my wooden point rested against his throat. The crowd had not seen me move. Leon jumped back and released his strongest technique. A gold lion formed around his sword. The force split the dual stones as he charged. Rook's voice entered my thoughts. "Left foot, lower shoulder. Cut the pride, not the boy." I obeyed. My wooden blade passed through the gold lion. It touched Leon 7 times. His first-place badge split. His sponsor ribbon fell. His belt opened. Both sleeves separated at the shoulders. His boots lost their laces. The gold lion vanished. Leon stood uninjured in the center of the circle, while every symbol of his rank dropped around him. Then, his loose trousers began to fall. He caught them with both hands. The plaza exploded with laughter. Even Dean Vale looked away. I placed the wooden sword on the ground. "You lost nothing that blood cannot buy again." Leon stared at the pieces of his badge. He understood. I could have cut his throat. I had cut only the lie around him. "Why?" he asked. "Your sister still needs medicine." The projection mirror carried my answer to the noble sponsors, the academy, and the city families. Leon's defeat became public. So did his reason. Ren had used that reason to own him. Leon turned toward the instructor. I will repay every coin you gave me. Ren's control over the Academy's strongest student broke in front of 600 witnesses. Sarah paid me 4 gold for freeing her grandfather's name. The trial awarded 13 gold for clearing the sealed northern crypt. After spending 1 gold on a coat and 4 on moon root for Leon's sister, I held 30 gold and 18 silver. My sword mastery had risen from 0 to 24 while masked. My wealth had crossed 30 gold. My rank had climbed to 86. Power, money, status. The 3 lines rose together. That night, Sarah joined Arya, Mira, and me at the kitchen. She brought a basket of meat pies from her family bakery. The crust broke into warm flakes. Inside, chopped beef, onion, and pepper rested in thick gravy. The owner served clear chicken broth with green herbs and thin noodles. Steam softened the pie crust when I dipped it into the bowl. Sarah placed Rook's empty helmet on the chair beside her. "My grandfather's voice is in your mask," she said. "Part of it. If he tells you embarrassing stories about me, I will kill you. What if he tells them through me? I will wait until you remove the mask." Mira nodded. "Practical. I like her." Arya sat close enough to see my hands. She had noticed they were not steady. I had worn the night mask for 8 minutes during the duel, 1 minute beyond the safe limit. When I reached for my cup, my hand seized the table knife instead. Sarah stood. Arya caught my wrist. My arm moved against both of us. Rook's voice came from my mouth, deeper than my own. The dean buried a living king beneath the academy. The knife turned downward and carved a map into the wooden table. At its center lay the academy tower. Beneath it, Rook drew a crown with 9 horns. Then my hand wrote 3 words. "He is awake." On the 4th morning, I woke with the table knife in my hand and no memory of walking home. Rook's mask lay on the floor. The carved eyes faced my bed. 8 minutes had allowed his voice to control 1 arm. I wrote the result in a notebook. 7 minutes were safe. 8 allowed movement. 13 allowed an attempt to take the body. I would not test 13. Someone knocked once. Arya entered with a tray and found me watching the mask. She had brought oat porridge with butter, sliced apples, and honey. Warm milk steamed in a small cup. "Your door was open," she said. "Rook dislikes locks." She set down the tray. "The Academy Council meets at noon. Ren has accused you of forbidden necromancy." That was fast, even for a man falling from power. Punishment? Loss of class license, confiscation of every mask, then a church cell. I added honey to the porridge and ate. A plan made on an empty stomach usually became a dramatic last speech. Arya placed the map Rook had carved beside the bowl. Sarah identified the lower passage. It leads through the academy library. At the bottom, the dead knight had drawn a small book. Ren's records had to be somewhere. Varric's ledger proved payment, but not the cemetery deaths, the false missions, or Dean Vale's role. "How long until the hearing?" I asked. 5 hours. "Enough. That word worries me when you say it." The trial reward included 1 spiritual seed. I swallowed it with the milk. Heat opened behind my ribs. My base spiritual power rose from 11 to 14. Today, 14 would enter a place that had swallowed 3 senior archivists. The academy library opened at sunrise. By the time we arrived, the entrance square was packed. Ren had published my accusation on every notice board in the city. He wanted the crowd angry before I could speak. People held paper charms against me. Parents of dead students stood closest to the doors. Some hated Ren. Others had been told that my masks disturbed the souls of their children. Ren waited on the library steps with 6 guards. "Axel is suspended," he announced. "He may not enter academy property." Dean Vale watched from an upper window. I held up Varric's ledger. "The missing mission registry is beneath this library. If I return with it before noon, will the council read it?" The crowd turned toward Ren. He could refuse and look guilty. He could accept and trust the under-library to kill me. "Enter," he said. "If you fail to return, the hearing will proceed without you." Arya records. 1 observer only. Sarah stepped beside the families. "Then the city will watch through mine." She placed 3 projection crystals on the library steps. 1 showed the entrance. 1 showed the council hall. 1 linked to Arya's observer sphere. Ren had spent years controlling records. Now he would have to watch a record he could not touch. Mira remained beneath a black umbrella at the edge of the square. Sunlight smoked against the cloth. "Bring me the instructor's frightened face," she called. "I already have better masks," I said. The crowd laughed. Ren did not. Arya and I entered the library. The public reading hall smelled of paper, wax, and old wood. We moved past shelves holding 40,000 books. Rook's map led to a statue of St. Oran. I pressed the carved book in his stone hand. The floor opened. Black stairs descended farther than the cemetery and blood cellar combined. The air grew dry. Cobwebs became gray threads as thick as rope. At the bottom stood a second library. Its shelves were made of bone. Books whispered behind silver chains. Blue candles burned without heat. A desk waited in the center, and a skeleton in a torn archivist robe sat behind it. The skeleton raised one finger. "Library card," it said. I showed my suspended apprentice license. "Expired. This morning. A late fee applies." The floor split. Bone hands rose around us. The system voice counted 84 lesser undead. Their strength ranged from 6 to 12. The archivist at the desk remained unreadable. Outside, the projection crystal showed every hand to the crowd. "Ren's missing registry is here," I said loudly. "We will retrieve it." The bone hands attacked. I wore the white mask. Agility rose to 15. I ran along the edge of the nearest shelf while skeletons pulled themselves from the floor. Arya remained inside her observer circle, but her voice guided me. 4 behind, chain above, open floor ahead. I jumped over a pit filled with moving skulls. Fingers closed around my boot. I kicked free and landed on the archivist's desk. He looked up. "Running in the library," he said. "Another fee." He tapped a brass bell. All 40,000 books opened. Dark words flew from the pages. They became birds with knife-shaped wings. The system voice finally measured the archivist. Lich Archivist Orin, Spiritual Power 42, Dark Magic Mastery 51, Physical Strength 2, Memory Core divided among 40,000 volumes. My spiritual power was 14. If his first spell touched me, the difference would become a short lesson. I ran between shelves. Wordbirds cut the stone behind my heels. One passed through my arm and removed not flesh, but memory. For 3 seconds I forgot my own name. The white mask remembered it for me. "Axel," the ghost whispered. That was new. A defeated voice could protect what it wanted to possess. I crossed 3 aisles and found the mission section. Every book was blank. Orin laughed from the desk. "Records belong to the keeper." Black chains rose from the floor and caught the white mask. I removed it before the 7th minute, but the chains followed my real face. 10 seconds before another form. Arya threw the observer sphere upward. Its gold light made the chains visible. She still did not attack. She gave me a target. I rolled beneath the first chain and wore the red mask. Strength, 18. Agility, 22. Endurance, 20. I seized the black chain and pulled. Orin's desk moved 1 pace. Every chained book moved with it. The Lich had divided his core among the collection, but all the chains returned to 1 brass ring beneath his chair. I ran toward him. Wordbirds struck my back. One erased the taste of bread. Another erased the cemetery keeper's face. The red mask repaired wounds, not memories. Varric's hunger rose as blood ran from my shoulder. "Drink the observer." I wrapped the chain around my arm and pulled harder. The brass ring tore free. 40,000 books screamed. Outside, people covered their ears. The projection crystal cracked but remained active. Orin stood for the first time. Blue fire filled his empty eyes. "Those records preserve the barrier," he said. "Without their deaths, the city falls." Ren's argument had reached the mouth of the dead archivist. Low-ranked students were not lost by accident. Their death energy had been entered into a machine beneath the academy. "How many?" I asked. 23 apprentices, 7 prisoners, 4 instructors. The families outside heard every number. Ren tried to shut down Sarah's crystals. The cemetery keeper, kitchen workers, and 2 city guards stood in his way. He could not reach them without attacking the public. Orin raised both hands. The books released a single spell. Darkness became a spear wider than my body. I changed masks. 10 seconds. The red form vanished. The spear crossed the library. Arya stepped toward me. "Stay inside the circle," I said. 5 seconds. I held Sarah's family sword with strength 4. 7 seconds. The spell reached the desk. 10. The night mask attached. Armor formed. Defense rose from 3 to 26. Sword mastery rose from 0 to 24. Rook's voice guided my hands. Cut the chain, not the darkness. I turned and struck the brass ring. The sword passed through black metal. Every book chain broke at once. The dark spear lost its words. It became wind and scattered around me. Shelves fell in long rows. 40,000 books struck the floor like heavy rain. Oren's divided core returned to his chest. The system measured it at 12. I crossed the room and drove the sword through the blue light. The Lich caught the blade with both hands. His physical strength was 2. Mine was 24. If you destroy me, he said, the records will become yours. That is the plan. So will the memories. His skull split beneath the sword. Blue fire covered my armor. It did not burn. It showed me 23 students entering false missions. I saw Ren stamp every order. I saw Dean Vale accept jars of death ash. I saw the city barrier brighten after each student died. Oren had told the truth. The sacrifices had protected the city. They had also fed the living king below. Blue ash gathered over the broken desk and formed my fourth mask. It was black, with thin lines like writing across its forehead. The system voice spoke. Lich Archivist mask created. Spiritual power increases from 14 to 31. Dark magic mastery increases from 0 to 27. Class memory archive available. Safe use, 7 minutes. I wore it. The world became a book I could open. Every fallen volume had a thread of blue light. I raised one hand. 40,000 books flew into the air and returned to their proper shelves. The missing mission registry rose from beneath Oren's desk and landed in my palm. Outside, the crowd went silent. They had seen my spiritual power climb from 7 to 31. They had seen a destroyed library repair itself at one gesture. The class everyone called trash now carried 4 complete undead classes. Oren's voice whispered inside the mask. Keep the books. Add the girl to the index. I removed it after 5 minutes. The desire vanished. The memories remained available, but opening them made my own thoughts feel less solid. The path back had changed. Dean Vale's ring symbol burned on a sealed door between us and the stairs. Bone guards surrounded it. He is closing the underlibrary, Arya said. The projection crystal showed the seal to the public. Dean Vale could no longer pretend he did not control the tombs. I wore the night mask and cut the door in half. We reached the surface with 21 minutes remaining. The square erupted. Parents called the names of the dead. City guards surrounded Ren. He still wore his silver instructor coat, but sweat had darkened the collar. A Lich's book is not legal evidence, he shouted. Undead memories can be forged. Then we will use your own memory, I said. His face changed. The council hall could hold 200 people. More than 1,000 filled the square outside and watched through Sarah's crystals. Dean Vale took the central seat. Ren stood before the judges. I stood opposite him with the registry. The dean opened the hearing. Axel is charged with creating forbidden vessels for dead souls. My masks store defeated classes, I said. The academy stores dead students. The crowd roared. I placed the mission registry on the evidence stone. Ren's seal appeared on 34 false assignments. He did not deny it. The barrier was failing, he said. 30,000 citizens sleep behind it. 23 apprentices were the cost of keeping them alive. There was no comic pride in his voice now. He believed the calculation. That was why he had been able to repeat it. Why choose the lowest ranks? A mother asked from the doorway. Ren looked at her. Because the academy could survive their loss. The room became still. She held a wooden badge that had belonged to her son. I could not, she said. Ren had no answer. I wore Oren's mask. Dark magic filled the hall. Guards drew weapons. The system voice measured my spiritual power at 31, high enough to resist the evidence stone, but not high enough to control everyone inside. I did not attack. I opened the memory archive. Blue light formed above us. It showed Ren speaking to Varric in the blood cellar. Take Axel tomorrow, the memory said. His new class may carry more energy than the others. It showed him receiving Academy Gold after every death. It showed him paying his debts. It showed him sitting alone afterward, washing his hands until they bled. The public saw all of it, his motive, his fear, his choice, his profit. Ren lunged for the memory. I raised one finger. Black bands closed around his wrists and ankles. Dark magic mastery of 27 was enough to pin an instructor whose spiritual power was 19. He fell to his knees before the families. The same man who had written my funeral slate now knelt beneath the names of 34 people he had erased. No one laughed. This humiliation was heavier than laughter. The council removed his instructor badge in public. His name vanished from the academy staff stone. The city guards took his silver coat and replaced it with gray prison cloth. His authority fell from instructor to accused murderer before more than 1,000 witnesses. As the guards led him away, Ren looked at Dean Vale. "You ordered the first one." Dean Vale struck the council bell. "The accused will remain silent." Everyone heard him anyway. The council could no longer expel me. It awarded me 50 gold for recovering the registry and 30 gold from the False Mission Compensation Fund. My wealth rose from 30 gold and 18 silver to 110 gold and 18 silver. The archivist trial raised my academy rank from 86 to 12. My official license became rank D. In the Lich form, my spiritual power rose from 7 to 31, and my dark magic mastery rose from 0 to 27. Power, money, status. All three had moved farther in one day than Ren believed possible in a year. At sunset, the families of the dead filled the little kitchen. The owner refused payment and cooked every pot she had. There was beef stew thick with tomatoes and sweet peppers. There were roasted potatoes with salt and rosemary. Dark bread came hot from the oven. Butter disappeared into its cracks. Sarah brought honey cakes. Mira arrived after the sunlight faded and carried 2 bottles from the night court, 1 wine and 1 blood. She labeled them carefully after Arya threatened her with a spoon. People told stories about the students whose names had returned to the registry. They spoke of loud laughs, bad singing, burned breakfasts, and unpaid card debts. The dead became people again. Arya sat beside me near the stove. You could have shown only Ren taking money. That would have made the story simple. It was not simple. No. She touched the bandage on my hand. You still gave them the truth. She had been the first to see me weak. Now she was the first to understand why I had shown Ren's fear along with his crime. Our shoulders touched. Neither of us moved away. For 1 hour, the room was warm. Bowls stayed full. Nobody spoke about the heart beneath the academy. Then a church horn sounded outside. The windows shook. A white carriage stopped in the street. 12 armored exorcists surrounded it. Their cloaks carried the capital seal. A messenger nailed a black-edged order to the kitchen door. By command of Bishop Saul, Axel was declared a vessel of forbidden undead classes. At noon tomorrow, he would face judgment on the city arena. The order carried a second seal. It was the same seal Orin had shown on the first command to sacrifice a student. Bishop Saul had not come to judge the crime. He had come to erase the evidence. On the 5th morning, the Capitol Church built my execution platform before it decided whether I was guilty. 4,000 spectators filled the arena. Projection mirrors carried the judgment to every public square. Bishop Saul understood that public victory became accepted truth. In the waiting room, I ate bread filled with roast beef, mustard, and pickled cucumber. Arya had also packed a pear tart. You brought dessert to an execution, I said. You plan better after eating. She checked my 4 masks. 7 minutes each, 10 seconds between forms. And if a voice controls you, remind it that you carry a sword. That reminder is for you too. Mira waited in a tunnel safe from sunlight. Sarah stood with the families. Leon brought his sister Lena and the moonroot package I had sent. Each carried part of the truth. Bishop Saul entered at noon. He wore white armor and a floating gold halo. His spiritual power measured 86. Mine rose from 14 to 31 in my strongest magical form. Dean Vale followed him into the arena. 10 academy instructors and 12 capital exorcists formed 2 lines behind them. Soul raised one hand. The crowd became quiet. Axel carries 4 dead souls, he said. He changes classes, which no living person may do. Today the rite of pure flame will reveal what he is. I walked to the center circle. The execution platform waited 30 paces behind me. Will the rite also reveal 34 false missions? I asked. The families lifted copies of Ren's registry. Saul did not look at them. Instructor Ren acted without church permission. Sarah held up Orin's first sacrifice order. This carries your seal. A stolen image. Arya raised the original observer crystal. Then permit evidence under the right of pure flame. The audience called for it. Sewell could not refuse without weakening his own stage. Permitted, he said. Dean Vale stepped forward. First, the accused must prove that his forms are controlled. 4 iron gates opened beneath the arena seats. Undead poured onto the sand. 40 gravehounds, 12 armored corpses, 1 bone giant, and a mist of whispering faces entered the sand. The system voice measured the largest threats. Bone giant, strength 40, defense 45, grave mist, spiritual power 38, bound control source detected beneath the judge's platform. Dean Vale held the control source. The church called it a right. It was another false mission with better seats. The gravehounds reached me first. I wore the white mask. Strength rose from 4 to 12. Agility rose from 5 to 15. Cold mist covered my body. I ran through the pack. Hounds collided with armored corpses. I stepped on a shield and jumped onto the bone giant's shoulder as the crowd shouted. Dean Vale moved 1 finger. The giant swung at its own shoulder. I leaped away. Its fist crushed 6 grave hounds and 3 armored corpses. Sarah enlarged Vale's moving black ring on the projection mirror. "The Dean is directing them," she shouted. Vale closed his fist. The grave mist attacked Arya. Her red sword cut the first wave, but more surrounded her. Vale wanted my witness dead. I crossed 40 paces and pulled her beneath my cold aura. The faces slowed. "Still controlled?" I asked. Arya cut a path toward the judges. "Poorly dressed but controlled." 6 minutes passed. The ghost voice pulled my feet toward the grave mist. It wanted to join the dead faces. I removed the mask. 10 seconds began. The bone giant found me. Arya's red shield caught its fist and cracked. 5 seconds. Leon caught the next fist with his gold lion and fell to his knees. "Observers may not interfere," Dean Vale shouted. Leon looked at the 4 open gates. "Then stop interfering," the audience roared. 10 seconds. I wore the red mask. Strength rose to 18, agility to 22, endurance to 20. I cracked the giant's knee, but its defense of 45 held. It kicked me through the judge's railing. My spine broke in 2 places. The red form held me together. Varric demanded blood, but I counted. At 40 seconds, my spine closed. The arena became silent. Soul had expected a copied shape, not class regeneration. The bone giant attacked again. I ran beneath the judge's platform and uncovered a huge crystal carved with 34 names, the death engine from Oren's memory. Every undead in the arena drew power from the students Ren had sacrificed. The mirrors showed parents recognizing their children's names. Dean Vale jumped down from the platform. Black rings covered his hands with grave armor. His spiritual power rose to 49. "That engine kept this city alive for 9 years, he said. "It also fed the king below." Saul promised to remove the controlled heart after we gathered enough energy. Saul watched in silence. Vale realized he had confessed alone. The red mask reached 7 minutes. Varric seized my right hand and turned it toward Arya's throat. I removed the mask. Vale attacked during the 10-second gap. His fist broke 2 ribs and lifted me by the throat before the arena. "You think truth protects people?" he asked. "A city needs walls, not truth." 5 seconds. "Walls built from students," I said. "From weak students." The mirrors carried his answer. The academy stands went quiet. 8 seconds. Vale drew back his fist. 10. The night mask attached. Armor covered me. Strength rose to 24. Defense rose to 26. Sword mastery rose from 0 to 24. I caught his fist. Sarah threw her family sword. Rook's class caught it through my hand. Vale created a black blade around his other arm. He cut at my neck. I turned, stepped inside, and struck 7 times. 7 cuts removed his rings, silver buttons, and Dean's badge. His grave armor vanished. His trousers remained intact. I was improving. The crowd laughed anyway. Vale stared at his bare hands. I kicked him onto the execution platform. The platform collapsed under its own dean. Students rose as Vale's name disappeared from the staff mirror. He had called their weakest classmates fuel and fallen from dean to prisoner before the guards reached him. Bishop Saul remained. He raised his hand. Pure flame fell from the floating halo behind his head. It struck the death engine. The crystal shattered. The undead collapsed and 34 names rose as sparks. Then the sparks entered Saul's armor. His spiritual power rose from 86 to 120. He had stolen the stored death energy. The projection mirrors measured the increase for every witness. Saul spread white wings of fire. The evidence has been purified. The heretic will now kneel. Pressure struck the arena. Leon, Sarah, and the guards fell. Arya remained standing for 3 breaths, then dropped to one knee. I stood in Rook's armor. Defense, 26, against spiritual power of 120. My bones began to crack. Rook's voice filled my head. Kneeling can prepare a charge. I let one knee touch the sand. Saul smiled. 4,000 people saw me kneel and place Sarah's sword against the ground. I pushed. I launched across the circle while Saul's fire peeled away my armor. 7 minutes ended. Rook tried to keep the mask attached. Finish the charge, his voice ordered through my mouth. I tore it off. 10 seconds began while I stood 3 paces from Saul. He drove a spear of white flame through my side. Arya changed the spear's angle with her sword. The flame missed my heart. 7 seconds, she said. Saul struck her across the arena. 9, I said. He raised the spear again. 10, I wore Orin's mask. Spiritual power rose from 14 to 31. Dark magic mastery rose from 0 to 27. It was still far below Saul's stolen 120. I did not attack him. I attacked the story. The memory archive opened through every projection mirror at once. Orin's memories filled the sky above the arena. Bishop Saul appeared 9 years younger, standing beneath the academy with Dean Vale. The body of a horned giant lay chained in a cavern. Feed its heart through the barrier, the memory of Saul said. The church will harvest the power when the vessel wakes. The next memory showed the first student led into the death engine. Saul had signed the order. The next showed Ren asking whether there was another way. There are always other ways, Saul answered. This one is cheap. 4,000 spectators heard him. Every public square heard him. The capital church heard him through its own mirrors. Saul threw the white spear at the sky. It passed through the memory but could not erase thousands of copies. His calm face broke. Turn off the mirrors, he shouted. Nobody obeyed. His 12 capital exorcists lowered their weapons. They had come to judge a heretic. They had not agreed to defend a child sacrifice. The audience began with one word. Cheap. The families repeated it. Students took it up. Soon the whole arena spoke the words Saul had used for their lives. Cheap, cheap, cheap. The bishop's halo flickered. Public faith powered his class. Public disgust weakened it. His spiritual power fell from 120 to 109, then to 98, then to 81. I had found the class rule he wanted hidden. Saul rushed me. Dark chains rose from the sand. At 27 mastery, they could not hold him, but they slowed one step. Leon's gold lion caught his left wing. Sarah's sword pierced the right. Mira emerged from the shadow tunnel after the sun moved behind the arena wall. She threw Varric's black ledger at Saul's face. It was not a powerful attack. It was satisfying. Arya reached him first. Her red blade struck the floating halo. A crack crossed its gold circle. Saul threw everyone back with a wave of fire. My lich mask reached 6 minutes. Orin's voice filled my thoughts with names from 40,000 books. Index them, store them, own them. I focused on one name. Bishop Saul. The memory archive found his signed order inside the death energy he had stolen. I pulled it from his armor as a strip of blue light. His spiritual power dropped to 64. Saul came close enough to kill me. I removed the lich mask before the 7th minute. My power fell to 14. His fist stopped one finger from my face. The commander of the capital exorcists had caught his wrist. The Capital Council orders Bishop Saul to return for inquiry, the commander said. A message burned across every church mirror behind him. Your authority is suspended. Saul looked around the arena. No students bowed, no instructors moved. The families held 34 names above their heads. His rank remained far above mine. His class could still kill me, but using it now would confirm every accusation in front of the entire region. He lowered his fist. Arya picked up the cracked halo from the sand and handed it to him. You dropped your faith, she said. 4,000 witnesses laughed. Saul's face went white. The capital commander escorted him from the arena beneath his own judgment banners. People turned their backs as he passed. His public authority fell from bishop to suspended suspect. I had beaten the rule behind his power. Next time, he would bring another class. The arena ranking mirrors rang after he left. Dean Vale's corrupted trials were cancelled. Ren's false scores were removed. Leon presented his switched crystal and confessed his part before the academy. My original spiritual score of 11 was restored. The council added the mausoleum and under-library victories. My academy rank rose from 12 to 1. My official license rose from rank D to rank C. The commander warned the audience that a capital master began at rank A. I was stronger, but I was still 2 full ranks below Sol. The city awarded 90 gold for exposing the death engine. My wealth rose from 110 gold and 18 silver to 200 gold and 18 silver. In my 4 masks, my highest strength was 24, my highest agility was 22, my highest defense was 26, and my highest spiritual power was 31. Power, money, status, all 3 had reached a new floor, not a final peak. Leon stood before me after the ceremony. His first place badge was gone. Lena received the moon root, he said. First place no longer pays for it, he continued. I gave him a contract from Sarah's family. House Rook needed a sword instructor for its new guard school. The weekly pay was 6 gold, enough for medicine and 1 gold left over. He read it twice. Why help me? Because next time I throw you into water, I want it to be your own mistake. Lena laughed. Leon tried not to. That evening, the little kitchen could not hold everyone. Tables filled the street. Lanterns hung above them. The owner roasted 2 whole lambs with garlic and herbs. The skin was dark and crisp. The meat separated from the bone under a spoon. Bowls of rice held raisins, carrots, and toasted nuts. Fresh flatbread arrived in stacks. We tore it by hand and filled it with lamb, cool yogurt, cucumber, and mint. Mira drank from a red bottle clearly marked blood. Sarah placed Rook's helmet at the head of the table. Leon and Lena sat with the kitchen workers. The cemetery keeper told the ghost story again. This time, the creature's arms reached from one side of the city to the other. Arya sat beside me. Rank 1, she said. In 1 academy. 200 gold. 18 silver too. 4 masks. 4 voices. The laughter around us became soft beneath the lanterns. Arya looked at my hands. Which one is yours? What? Your voice. I understood. Every victory made the masks louder. One day people might see only the forms. Arya had seen the injured boy beneath the first one. The one counting, I said. She placed the last pear tart on my plate. Then keep counting. I will tell you if the answer stops sounding like Axel. Her hand rested against mine for a moment. Mira looked at us and moved her chair 2 places away. Sarah followed. Arya turned red. I ate the tart. It was safer. Warm pear, cinnamon, and butter filled my mouth. For that small moment, there was no system, no bishop, and no heart beneath the hill. Then every mask under my coat opened its eyes. The street shook, plates jumped, lanterns swung. A line split the ground from the academy gate to our table. Stone steps appeared beneath the broken street. They descended into darkness. The system voice spoke faster than ever before. Unclaimed mask detected. No personal exorcism recorded. Class origin precedes current system authority. Black ash rose from the stairs. It formed a 5th mask in the air. The mask was darker than the Lich mask. 9 horns surrounded its brow. Its eyes were closed, but I felt them looking at every face I had collected. My one cheat had developed a consequence I had never considered. Some masks did not need me to defeat their owners. They needed their owners to choose me. The new mask entered my collection by itself. The ground opened wider. Far below, chains broke one after another. 1, 2, 3. The count continued until 9. A voice older than the academy spoke from the horned mask. It was the same voice that had whispered "Master" on my first night. "Axel, you wore the faces of my servants." The stairs filled with red light. "Now come below." Something enormous took its first breath beneath the city and returned the body of the first demon king.